it's been a roller coaster of a season for some of our starters, right? They've had some peaks and valleys, but the last 2 or 3 weeks, they've really collectively and individually, they've been playing a lot better, especially Jaden before he got hurt. He was playing the best basketball of his life. And I want to ask you about each starter, right? I need you to give me a grade for each starter based on, what the games they've been available. So let's focus on the ideal lineup, right? So that's Cade, Jaden, I know he's hurt, but Jaden, a star at the 3, Tobias at the 4, Jalen at the 5. If you want to throw in Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley because they started too, that's cool. But let's start with those 5 guys. Let's start with Cade. What would you grade Cade to start the season up to this point, 38 games in?
He's an A. An A. Only thing holding me back with Cade a little bit is just finishing around the rim. But I'm being picky, but like if we're gonna give A plus to me, that's like 100%. Like maybe just his defense has dropped off a tiny bit, but I think that's coincided with Asar and Ron being more prominent and taking on more of those players. So it's not as big of a deal. But yeah, he's been incredible. Like I truly, and I'm not just saying this as like a homer, like I truly think like he's pushing like all NBA. Like if the team can stay around 500 and he keeps up this play, that's not crazy at all. He's genuinely being a top 15 player. I
think that's probably the easiest one we're gonna do. As far because I was watching that too. As far as the defensive part, I think part of why he may be falling up just a little bit defensively is because he's had to play a lot more minutes since J.I. went down because he's the only real point guard. We've seen Sasser try to do it. He struggled a little bit, right? So with him playing more, it's going to be harder because he wants to be that two-way guy we always talk about. He wants to be that. And that means exerting energy on both ends of the court. So when you have such an offensive load and you're playing more minutes, it's going to make it harder for you to go full tilt. But I would agree with you. I think that's the one thing that he just needs to continue to stay locked in on is the defense. But he has gotten a lot better, I've noticed, as far as just how he's attacking defensively. Even when it doesn't happen often, but when he bites on a pump fake, he moves his feet so well to stay in front when they try to drive. He's gotten so much better with that, putting his hands down and just moving his feet. And that's something in previous years I didn't really see with him. So I'm with you. I would give him an A. I would give him a solid A. It's hard to, I don't give out A pluses. I just don't, because I feel like nobody's perfect. But I would give him a solid A for sure. And once again, he has a team around him that is showing the league now that he is an A-level player. So I think that was an easy one. So yeah, Jaden Ivey. Based on what you've seen so far from him and before his injury, how would you grade him? What would you give him?
I think I think a B plus. And because I give him a B plus because I truly believe those 10 games before the original injury with the knee soreness, and I think you also kind of mentioned he had some left toe soreness. I think that really affected him in that slump where he kind of not lost his way, but the percentages went down. He just wasn't the same JI. He wasn't as attacking the paint as much. But when he was healthy this season, he finished the season shooting. Well, I shouldn't say finished. He's shooting right now 41% from 3 on 5 attempts. I think. Just take a moment to think about that. 41%, and I believe the catch and shoot numbers are even better. So, to think where he was just as a jump shooter last season and where he was in college, and how much better it looks, and cleaner, that in itself is a massive tick, because that was one of the main things he needed to do this season, for him and Cade to coexist. He's done that. And then when healthy, I've loved how he attacks the offensive glass. That game we came back against Phoenix, he was everywhere. His handle has gotten so much better. I think it's a product of 2 off seasons of work, but this season in particular, so much tighter with his handle in traffic, and just looks so much more confident with in and out dribbles. I can't recall him doing those as much as he has this season. I think go ahead. Yeah. Most clutch player on the team. Facts. Most clutch
2-game winners.
2-game winners. Second highest. This was before the injury against Orlando, but second highest field goal percentage on the team in the clutch. I think it was at 48% of anyone to attempt 5 shots in the clutch. So he is clutch. That is huge to have someone like that, because Cade's going to always get the majority of the attention. So for him to be able to kick it to someone who's going to knock it down, huge tick. So he still has plenty of room for improvement as a finisher, similar to Cade. Jaden's is a bit different because they're different level athletes, but I think Jaden, it's still some of the decision making on drives. I think he gets caught and he ends up throwing out jump passes and turnovers, but I think a B+ is fair for him. If you want to, like, for me, it's because I don't believe that 10-game stretch he struggled, he was fully healthy. I think he was injured.
No, yeah. You're 100% right. I can verify that he was playing hurt. Not injured, but he was playing through things. And that's just because he doesn't complain. Yeah. Jaden does not complain, bro. Sometimes he needs to be sat down because he just, I'm good. No, you're not, bro. Sit down. You're not. So I would give him a B+. I think his biggest improvements have been, number one, pacing. He used to be always on 10. And, you know, I understand it because he's such a freak athlete, you know, like his father and his mother and his grandfather before him. But now guys in the NBA, everybody's an athlete now. Everybody, not quite as fast as him, but they can somewhat stay in front if you're just going vertical. And his pacing has gotten much better as far as understanding when to go full speed, when to slow it down, when to wait for the pick, you know, the roller to get to a spot, all those kind of things. He's gotten so much better with that. And his shooting, I want to talk about the shooting too, because while it has improved from a percentage standpoint, a lot of it has to do, from what I've noticed, is the quality of his 3-pointers. The quality of shot. As a rookie, a lot of his shots were him catching the ball back with 5 seconds left, and he's trying to go one-on-one from the top of the key. And that's not a high percentage shot for anybody. Even Steph Curry. Steph's going to make them because he's Steph, but it's not a high-quality shot. Now, his shots are within the offense, sometimes in transition, the ball is hopping, and he's catching it and just shooting it. And as a result, the percentage goes up. So that's naturally what's going to happen. So I think, like Cade too, just being a byproduct of having better players around you is making him so much better. So those two things I think have really improved for him, and that's why, just like you, I give him a B+. So we 2 for 2 so far. We moving. So let's go to the next one. Let's go to Asar. Let's go to Asar Thompson. What would you grade him? I know it's kind of a smaller sample size because he hasn't played as much because of the blood clot, but just from what you've seen, what would you give Asar?
So this might sound a little harsh, but it's because I thought the way Asar played last season is kind of similar to what we're seeing this season. I think I'm just going to give him a C+, but I promise that's not because I think he sucks or is a bust. It is not that at all. I just think he is still trying to find his rhythm. He's just come off an illness. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but I don't think it was the blood clots or anything because he was visibly sick yesterday. But I think he still is relatively the exact, like very similar to the Asar Thompson we saw last season. And he's an excellent rebounder. He's an excellent on-ball defender. He's a ridiculous athlete. Like him in transition is like, him and Ron Holland in transition is an automatic 2 points.
Bruh.
It's 2 points. Just put it down. So that's why I'm just giving him a C+. Because I just think the sample's a bit small. The 3-point shot from the corner looked okay for the first few games, but it feels like he's gone away from that now. He did hit one in the last game. But yeah, if I'm basing it on where he was last season to now, I think I would say a C+. It's good to see him getting more reps on ball. I think he's going to get more of that with Jaden's absence. That's something I'm really keen to see because I think he can do more of that creation type stuff. But he's had some great moments, and he's had some moments where the lack of jumper and the struggle at the free throw line has kind of really stood out to me. But he's like, I still love him as a prospect, and I think he has a bright future with the Pistons for sure. For sure.
I will give him a B-. Prior to him going down, what was it, 2 games ago? I probably would have given him a C+. But for me, bro, when he's out of the game versus when he's in the game, but when he's gone, you notice a substantial difference in the defense because he's such a connector. Like you mentioned, he's a great rebounder. He's a great help side defender. A lot of times you'll see guys get lost on backdoor cuts and he'll hedge and the pass won't get there. Like things like that he does for this team that seem so small, that don't show up on the stat sheet. When he's missing, you see how much easier the opposing team is getting shots and scoring the basketball. When he's in the game and when he's there, guys are thinking twice and he makes them uncomfortable. and then his ability to be able to just grab the ball off the rim and just start a break, right? He just does so many things. So I just think his ability, bro, just what he does from a connector standpoint, kind of like a Tayshaun Prince type of player, not the shooter at all, right? But as far as being able to do so many different things, be that Swiss Army knife, just do whatever the team needs you to do. When he's missing, you see it and you feel it. So because of that, I got to give him a B-, but I can't go higher than that. So you said C+, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not mad at that either. That's right there. Right there. All right,
like
cool.
People might think that's a bit harsh, but
I mean, yeah, you know what though? Like, cause we're getting solid B's, you know.
Okay, that makes me feel better.
Let's go to Tobias. It may get a little interesting here. So as far as Tobias, what you've seen from him so far, he's played, I think, pretty much almost all the games, which I got to give him credit for. As far as Tobias goes, what would you give him?
I think it's a C. I think I've enjoyed Tobias at points this season. I think he's brought a lot to this team that they need as a rebounder. I actually don't mind his post-ups, just when it's more against like the opposing team's bench, but I think that's a real source of offense. Like, I feel like that turnaround jumper he has, like 10 to 15 feet out, is money, and he's actually kind of weirdly good at drawing fouls on those as well. But I didn't expect, I probably hadn't watched enough Tobias recently to realize how much he's kind of just lost laterally on defense. Like, I remember when he was first here in Detroit, like, he's never been a great defender, like, and he's never been an elite athlete. He's just like a bigger guy that can score, but deep defensively, it's been a bit of a tough watch at times, but I think he makes up for some of it with his rebounding and communication. And then offensively, like, just the 3-point shot, like, particularly from the corners, like, he hit a couple, I think, last night, and he's been better during this streak. But I think on the season, it just feels like there's been a lot of times where you expect your veteran player to knock down a shot, and he just hasn't been able to. And I know that's something that's hard to kind of quantify, but if you watch the games, like obviously you do, and probably a lot of the people in the chat, like, it just feels like there's been a lot of big moments that he's just come up short. And maybe I shouldn't be expecting that from Tobias, but I think that's probably what's really bringing the grade down for me. Because I think I will say, since Jaden went out though, I think he's stepped up and helped. He was like a real contributor to like the 5-game winning streak and just overall the past couple of weeks. I like it. Real quick, shout out to you guys in the chat. Juan was good. Daryl was good. On was good. Everybody was good, man. I appreciate you guys showing up and showing out, man. Y'all are Hey, listen, man. They don't play over here, bro. In this chat, in this community, they keep it a stack, and they don't go easy. They're sometimes harsh. Sometimes I gotta reel them back in. Sometimes, like, bro, chill. That's a little bit too much. But getting back to what you said, as far as the grade, I also give him a C. I think you said C, right? Solid C. Yeah. I give him a C, bro. And for me, like, you probably remember when he was here back in 2016, 2017. And I initially thought that we were getting that guy, that 15 to 18 point per game score. And I thought we were going to get it from the start of the season. And it didn't happen early on. His shot betrayed him a little bit, but early on, he was rebounding very well. I didn't notice that. Sometimes he would lead the team with 10, 11 rebounds during, which is my dog. But there were times, so he was doing things, he was doing other things to kind of make up for that lack of scoring early on. And then he hit a period where he really wasn't giving us that either. And the shot still wasn't falling. But like you just said, lately, he's been giving us both. His shot has been falling. There were so many times earlier this season in close games in the fourth quarter where the Pistons were on a break and the opposing team should have called timeout, but they didn't, because he missed that shot that would have made them call timeout. You know what I mean? There's so many times, like, if you make that shot, we got the momentum, we got the crowd behind us, timeout would probably win this game. And there was so many times he just wouldn't make it, and they come down and get it, and they come down and get a 3, and it'd be a 6-point swing or something crazy. And that would just drive me crazy. So, but lately, he's found his jumper, he's shooting much better, and he's still giving you other things as well. So because he's had such a roller coaster season to start so far, I gotta balance it out and give him a C. I'm right there with you. Yeah, I think that's very fair. I think C's fine. I think a lot of people might go lower, like the Z+ we had, but I think I'm factoring in as well. I think he's and like we might talk about some of the other vets, but what they've brought into that locker room is is something that you don't see on the court, like physically, or you kind of do, but I think that he's brought a real culture to this team.
Yeah, you're right about that. You're right. He definitely has brought a culture. You've seen his leadership, right? You've seen him pulling guys to the side when things kind of go awry and say, hey, let's lock back in. Like when J.I. got hurt, right? We don't win that game without him. Because the team, you saw Zay's face, you saw Cade's face. These guys are like, wow, like they're a family here. And you saw when the family goes down, it affects you. But you saw Tobias pull the guys to the side. Hey, this hurts, but we got a game to win. Let's go get it. Like that experience, somebody who's been there before, that is, I think, why I also give him a C, because he's bringing that leadership as well. So I got to give him credit for that too.
And just last thing on Tobias, because I think a lot of these players see what people say about them. I think it's just impossible not to. And I think it might have been after one of the games in the streak, but he specifically shouted out Jalen Duren, his effort, his rebounding. And I just thought that's huge, because like I've been on JD about that. So many people being on JD here. That's probably really wearing on him. I think a lot of it's justified. The way some people go about with JD is a bit disrespectful, but I think on the most part, it's been an issue for him. And just, I think it's huge that Tobias shouted that out in the post-game press conference, to like just be there for his guy and like make sure people see and hear that. So just 100% things I really have enjoyed with Tobias as well.
Totally agree. Since you mentioned JD, let's get to him. As far as what you've seen from JD so far, what is your grade for JD?
This is really tough. This is really tough. I think I'm gonna say a C+, and I think that's because I think he struggled earlier in the season. I don't think it was all his fault that he's been getting exposed the way he has, defending earlier in the season, like in space, struggling with those stretch bigs. But some of it at the same time, like we'll all go back to that Bulls game where Vooch just torched the Pistons and JD just kept being like. But I think the Pistons have changed their scheme a little bit, where they're now like blitzing and like sending him to the ball handler and pick and roll, and like he's just been more active recently. And I think in this past 3 weeks, honestly, if I was on here a month ago, I probably would have given him a D+. But I think like what I've seen him really grow with his decision making, with his effort, and I think it's showing up in the blocks and steals lately. He's had multiple, 2 or more in his past couple of games. But I think his energy and effort's just been a lot more consistent. And even a couple of games ago, I think against Portland, he struggled in the first half. Paul Reed took his minutes in the second quarter. Then the second half of that game, he was a monster. So I think he's growing within games as well, and not getting too down on himself and being out for the entire game. So I think a C+ is, that's where I land with him. And he's trending upwards.
I would give him a C. I'm with you. About a month or so ago, I probably would have been in that D range. And it's not because he doesn't have the ability for me. It's strictly a mental thing with JD. Like for me, what I see now is that he's buying in to the role that the Pistons need him to play. I think the role that he's being asked to play is not his full package of what he can do. Like he wants to be an offensive. You see how he is on lobs when he's got his tongue out, all that, and he loves being a part of things like that. And for me, it seemed like early on, it just took him a minute to adapt to, listen, bro, we need you to be you see what Stu does? We need you to do that at least at the same level that Stu does it. Because he's got the body to do it. I think he's slowly beginning to buy in to the fact that, okay, we know you can do all these things, but right now we need you to just do these things. Focus your energy on the defensive side of the ball and the offense to work itself out. And it seems like lately, he's exerting a lot more energy on the defensive end. Even as far as switching out on guards, he's following them out there. Like he's really just active. Like you said, he's active. And I think that's really the only thing for him. We're starting to see now, for me, he's looking like more and more and more, he's becoming a better version, a more polished version of the rookie we saw. Of that raw rookie we saw, right? We saw the raw ability where he could just, jump out the gym, rebound like crazy, run the floor like a gazelle, dunk the ball, like all these different things. And I think now he's starting to hone in on those things and slowly get a little bit better with the individual things. So that's why I'm excited, because you're seeing him finishing the possessions defensively now. He does have lapses. Like last night he had a lapse where he got caught on a pick and roll on the perimeter. And I think Slow-Mo took the shot, missed the shot. and Kevon Looney was under the hoop with Cade, and I think it was somebody else under the hoop trying to battle. And JD was still on the perimeter. And Looney missed the first putback, and instead of darting to the basket, JD assumed it was going to go in. And when it missed, Looney got another one, and then JD tried to catch up. So it's like if he had the mindset like Stu, where I'm attacking regardless if it goes in or not. If I think it's going in, I'm still attacking the rim. Those are the kind of things I think is his next jump. It's just consistently going full tilt all the time. If he does that, bro, he can be an all-star. He's really that talented. He's really that talented, at least to me. So because he's now buying in as a young 21-year-old who has a lot of room to grow, I gotta give him a C, because at least now it shows that he's buying in, because now the Pistons are winning games too. So when you play that way and you're winning, you can't even really argue it. So I think now he's starting to see, if I play this way, we'll get wins, we'll get respect, and then I'll get my share on the offense as well.
I like how you brought up, like, he's buying more into the role this team needs, because I think one of the underrated things is kind of last season, and I feel like JD, even in the summer league prior to last season, was given a lot of freedom to improve his game, to shoot the jumper, to handle the ball. And that is part of that other aspect that you spoke about, where like he's like got this amount of skill, but this is what the team needs. And I feel like because last season was such like a disaster, like players were able to do what they wanted to an extent. And I think he kind of found out early this season that when the microscope's on and this team's more competitive, like you got to lock in defensively every possession. The fans won't just be on you. I'm sure his teammates are, and the coaches, like they see it clearly. And I think he's just been adjusting to that. And like you said, buying into more like doing the dirty work, being a cleanup guy. He's always been a good offensive rebounder, but like you said, he still has those moments where you can't just assume it's going in. And I think he's leaning more into doing that workman-like role as a big, and then the other stuff will come. So
yeah, 100%, bro.
Right direction,
he's trending in the right direction for sure. And I think I'm so hard on him because I know how I see his ceiling. My comp for him, like at his peak, for those who remember back in the day, Jermaine O'Neal was a beast with the Pacers. He gave the Pistons problems in those conference finals runs. And if you remember, he struggled early with the Blazers. Didn't play much. He had a lot of guys in front of him, including our guy Rasheed Wallace. But he eventually he focused on that in the floor first. And because he had the tools, he slowly added more and more to his game. That's why I'm so hard on him, because I know what a ceiling can be. I just want to see him get there. And it's hard when you see a guy not reaching the level you know they can be. I think the Pistons' success, a lot of it hinges on him and Cade. Those two guys. I think the pick and roll offense is going to be so important. And to his credit, he's gotten so much better screening. His screens have gotten so much better. It's been a while since we've seen offensive fouls on him because of screens. For a while, he was setting real soft screens because he wasn't sure how to set them properly, right? But now he's planting, he's setting hard screens, and he's rolling. So he's showing incremental growth. It's going to take time. I keep telling everybody, it's going to take time for him to get to the point we want to get him to. But just give him patience, give him time. He'll get there. Anybody else you wanted to grade? I know we had other guys who we could have talked about, but anybody else that stood out to you that you wanted to give a grade to or give a shout out to?
I'll be very quick. Malik Beasley, A+. I know you don't give it A+, but I actually give that guy an A+. Like, honestly, like, and then I just want to do, I think Tim Hardaway Jr. has been really solid as well. Like, I'll probably give him a B, but taking the charges, just the leadership. He's a vibes guy as well, I've noticed. No one's at Malik's level in terms of vibes, but TSJ's like a vibes guy, I feel like, and had some really key shots this season. And then just, Ron Holland. He's exceeded my expectations for what I had for him as a rookie.
Yeah,
Shout
bro.
out to him. And just like, I love his mindset, man. Like, I'm not from Detroit, but from everything I've learned about the city, and gotten to know people like yourself, like he was meant to be a Piston. It just feels right.
Yes, he's one of those guys that the Pistons I don't think will move. Maybe ever. I don't know. But also Isaiah Stewart, another guy who I feel he may be a lifer here, because I feel he's so much more valuable here than he is anywhere else because of what he embodies for Detroit. He is a Detroit. Like you mentioned, Ron Holland. He is a Piston. They bring that mentality. Ain't no friends on the court. If you were a teammate or the basketball, well, you're not friends. So that's how he is. You saw him last night ripping the ball away from I think it was Waters on.
Yeah.
So guys like that, some guys you just don't move because the intangibles, like guys like Draymond Green, had a very underwhelming stat line, but was a player of the game for them. Certain guys like that, you just don't move because they embody what you are as a team. So I'm with you on those. Ron Holland, you hit that dead on. Beasley, you hit that dead on. Tim Hardaway, yeah, you pretty much hit on all those, bro. And Paul Reed, shout out to him. He hasn't played a lot, but I want to give him a shout out too because whenever he's played, he's been solid for the Pistons as well.
Rewind 2021. There was a parade in my city. #1 pick dancing in the street. Everybody was hitting the gritty. Kate arrived in the D, and it was live as can be. They can ball, but we didn't want Green, Mobley, or Scotty B. No, when he got hurt, everyone lost it. Storylines leaking, no faucet. Caught him washed when he broke his tibia. All the haters, time to get it ready, yeah. Everybody wanna be Skip Bayless. Wanna throw shade, okay, say less. Deuce went #1 for a reason. It'll click by the end of the season. When he wins most improved player. Gonna be a movie, here's the trailer. Don't say I didn't try to warn ya. Co-signed by Wayne Benyama.
Cade Cunningham.
He was raised in Texas, but now he's Detroit flexing. Team USA, he was killing them. Got him effed up, let me quote Eminem. Nowadays, everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. That's a bunch of gibberish and money lovers act like they forgot about Cade. Nowadays, everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. That's a bunch of gibberish and money lovers act like they forgot about Cade. Forgot about Cade, they forgot about Cade. Forgot about, how you forget about Cade?